Hey guys, it's Johnny from JTK Gaming, and today I have a new MagDK build for you guys. It is extremely fun to play. I've had a lot of fun over the last couple weeks, and it's not necessarily the strongest, the fastest, or the tankiest build, but it is by far the funnest build I've played in a long time. I'm going to explain the build, and also I'm going to go over some tips that may help you transfer to a new class or even possibly a new build. These tips I've been using pretty much since I started playing the game, and they've helped me a lot of times when I've changed class, especially changing classes. So I'll go through them as we go through the video, and let's get straight into some of the gear and skills that we use in this build. Okay, so let's go over the skills. This is going to, be part of the tricks that I want to show you guys that help you to change class. So let's just have a quick talk about that first before we get into the skills, because the skills might make a little bit more sense once I explain this. For example, on my sorcerer, I have an execute or a heal or buff, some kind of utility here in my first slot. Then I always had a shield in slot 2, I had a dot, and then I had my spammable in 4, and then I had another dot or hard hitting thing. So you can see here, it is very similar. I've got Fossil or Shattering Rocks, which is my utility, or CC, however you look at it. Then I have my shield, then I have my dot, then I have my spammable, and then I have my other dot. So on my back bar, you can see kind of same thing. I've got my heal, which I normally always had a heal in this spot on my back bar. Then I always had another shield, and then these three skills are mostly buffs and utilities. You can see by using that method that my muscle memory is still going to be the same for this build. So my muscle memory knows that slot 4 is my spammable. It is trained to, push number 4. So say if I come to this and I put that there and that there, I would always be hitting burning embers all the time. Yes, over a couple days you'd get out of it and you'd start, memory muscle for the different way you've got it set up. But the problem with that is if you go back to your old build, you've got to go through that process again. I will kind of stress right now that this build is more of a beginner kind of someone trying to learn a MagDK kind of thing, and I'm trying to set it up the best way I know to survive so I can learn the MagDK. The biggest problem with swapping from a sorcerer to a MagDK is I'm not used to melee. I never play melee, and now I've got to be in people's faces. I've gone from basically one extreme to the other. That is the biggest learning curve for me, and the fact that I always have to play really offensive is another issue that I have. So these bars will change, and they may be a little bit different to a lot of people's MagDK setups, but fundamentally they are the same, and they're still using the same skills that basically every MagDK uses. I'm just using shields instead of using block. Now, this is a bad habit that I need to get out of, because I need to utilize block a lot more on my MagDK, but coming from a sorcerer where I'm relying on my shields all the time and not block, you can see where the problem is. And, I've got to learn that. So at the moment, I'm using shields to survive and stay alive while trying to get used to holding block and blocking a lot. Anyway, in number 1, we have Shattering Rocks. Now, this is a CC. It is a really, really good CC. It can't be blocked or dodged, which is the best thing about it. And the fact that it can't be blocked means that we can do some pretty cool combos with it. I'm sure you've all been hit by a meteor and then this skill combo basically dropping your block right as the meteor hits you. And there's a lot of other interesting combos that you can use with this skill. That is basically it. And the other big thing about it is 50% chance to set an enemy target off balance. Now, that's another big thing about this. So the next skill I'm using is Dampen Magic. Now, as I said, once I get the hang of the build, I will probably drop this for something else, but For the time being, I need this to survive. The way I play, whenever I get in trouble, my hand is... muscle memory in my fingers knows that number 2 is my lifeline. That's the skill I need to hit to stay alive. So at the moment, that's what I have in there. Engulfing Flames, now this is really, really good. It's kind of a conal AoE. Basically gives you a 10% increased damage with your fire attacks. As you know, Magic DK is basically mostly fire damage. It also gives a little dot and stuff, which is nice, but the 10% extra flame damage is what we're really after with this. Then we have Flame Leash. Now this is one of the best Magic DK skills. It hits like a truck. I can get like 9k, 10k crit whips on players. It's pretty insane, especially when you get the bonus damage when they're off balance. So you can see where the first skill kind of lines up with this skill. It also gives us a massive heal when you're off balance. When the enemy's off balance and you hit them, your actual skill here will change. The symbol will change when, you know, you can hit them off balance and get that massive heal. So there lies one big problem I have, is I don't play offensively enough. Like, I'm played too defensive. The big thing about a Magic DK is you get your heals off being offensive. So if you're not attacking, being right in their face and getting in their face and putting pressure on them, you're not getting these massive heals which you need to stay alive. Hence why I need the shields for the time being until I get the build down pack. Burning Embers. Now this is another really, really good skill. Most DKs use it all the time. It is a decent dot, and it also is a really good heal. You can hit them and then hit them again to get like a initial heal, but the heal at the end is really good, and the dot is actually surprisingly large. So it is a really good skill. And then I have Ferocious Leap on this bar. It is by far the coolest ultimate in the game, and you can also get it to hit pretty hard. On our back bar, now I'm playing around with a lot of things, so you know, this back bar has changed probably 15 times over the last week or so, but at the moment I've got mutagen. Playing around with that, I do like the purge. The purge is really nice, and it is actually a decent dot heal. I think it is underrated a fair bit for like solo kind of PvP. Then we got Healing Ward. We talked about this again, you know, it's in that number 2 slot. Now, Burning Talons is another really, really important skill as a DK. Most people have a CC where they have to CC them every 6 seconds, and they're you know, they're on that, they're doing it every 6 seconds. With a DK, you basically, what you do is you use this skill, and then that's got a cooldown timer, and then you can also use this skill like just after. So what you're forcing them to do is CC break the initial one and then dodge roll the Talons. You're forcing them to use twice as much stamina in the same period of time. You could even be 3 times the thing, because I think the cooldown on this is 3 seconds if they dodge roll. So you could actually, yeah, you could do that twice. So you could technically force them to dodge roll twice and CC break once in a 6-second period. So you imagine that constantly in a fight, you are burning through their stamina. Even like a stam build, you're gonna burn through their stamina. And also the pressure you're applying in their face, that they just don't know what to do and they crumble, and that's what happened. You're not so much trying to like kill them by like, you know, smashing them in the head. You're waiting for them to just get overwhelmed and not be able to take it anymore, and then just, you know, collapsing. You know, they can't just put up with the pressure anymore. So then they make a mistake, then they make another mistake, and then they're dead. So as I said, I'm playing around with this a lot. I've been running a few small groups, and the 8% increased damage with the group is really nice. We've found that we can kind of, you know, get the group in that channel and actually, you know, get the whole group to get that 8% buff. The physical and spell resistance, you know, it's nice. It's only 1300. It's probably only like, what, 3 or 4% mitigation maybe at the best. And also it is a heal. You know, it's a handy skill. As I said, I'm swapping these in and out a lot. I was running PvP last night, and there was just something I couldn't kind of get my head around that was missing by this. Just felt like it was lacking something. And I didn't have a gap closer. And I think that's what it was. I couldn't get enemies, like, if they started running away or something like that. Or they seen us from a distance and we had to chase them down. I had no way to get into their faces. So I'm using Empowering Chains. I just put this on there last night. I may try the Shield Bash Gap Closer. I may also choose the other morph of Chains and see how that goes. But, you know, at the end of the day, basically this slot can be used for a Gap Closer. And then I have Ferocious Leap again. That probably will be changed to Magnum Armor here. Let's just throw that one in. So there we go, Magma Shell can go in there. You know, if we need it and we're in a big Zerg, we can be invincible basically for 9 seconds. Or 10 seconds, or whatever it is. 10.8 seconds. So, you know, that is a really good skill to get out of a very, very shitty situation. And then I'm running tripods on this build. So I really want to swap to an Ogonian. I love Ogonians. You guys know that. Everyone that knows me knows I'm basically part of the Lizard Master race. This was my first toon, my first ever ESO toon that I got to max level. I did have a Nightblade that I played first, but I only got that to level 20 or something like that. So this is my first toon. It's also my crafter, so it's hard with skill points. But anyway, guys, let's get into some of the gear that we're using. We are obviously using Vulcan Scoria, 2-piece Vulcan Scoria. I am running 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. Now I'm running triglyphs on 2 of my large pieces. I possibly will consider putting a triglyph on here as well. It's just I feel like I've got enough health and stamina for the time being. And then, so we're running 2 Vulcan Scoria, then we're running 5 Burning Spellweave. Just about everyone is going to know Burning Spellweave, but for the ones that don't, it's max magic, spell damage, spell critical, and when you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you have 15% chance to apply a burning status effect to the enemy and increasing your spell damage by 513 for 8 seconds. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds. Basically, this proc's pretty much off cooldown most of the time. I've kind of been keeping an eye on it, and I can see it around every 15-16 seconds. So basically a 50% uptime, which could be obviously increased by running more dots, you know, things like flame enchant on your weapon and stuff like that. But, you know, 50% uptime isn't too bad for the amount of spell damage that you're getting. Then I'm running 5-piece Lynch. Now, everyone that knows me knows I love this set, and a lot of other Magic DKs rely on skills like Deltia's build that he just did had the Destruction Staff ability, I can't quite remember what it's called, to sustain and things like that. Now, when you run this set, you don't need any outside help other than this set. This set is, you know, it's amazing. You know, you can get around a 2k base max recovery up to about 4.5k with a Lynch proc and all the other potion buffs and the Cyrodiil buff that you get for taking a resource or a keep. You know, you can get some massive crazy recovery with this set. I find that once every minute is kind of pretty much okay, especially on a Magic DK, because the way it goes down basically is I get low on resources and I have a pot. I get low on resources again, I have my ultimate. I get low on resources again, and then my Lynch proc goes off. So I'm struggling really hard to run out of resources on this build, and if it's played right, you're never going to run out of resources. That's pretty much the build, guys. I'm running recovery on my... Oh, hello. That has got a reduced magic cost on it. That's interesting. That actually explains why my magic recovery isn't quite as high as what it should be. I really couldn't work that out the other day, but there you go. Found the problem. So that will be swapped. And then I'm running Sword and Board and then Resto. I was going to run a Destro. I actually originally had a Destro on the back bar, but I found that I wasn't really doing anything offensive as much, and I didn't really feel the need to use any Destro skills. Like, the ultimate was about the only one that I really wanted to use. So why not go for a resto, get the extra, you know, recovery from heavy attacks, and get the ability to use all the healing staff skills. So I went with that. That has got the deals magic damage and restores magic. As again, I'm playing around with these. This stuff will be changed to the trait once I get enough transmute stones. So then my sword is powered and my shield is infused. The sword might be changed, I think, maybe at some point. But for now, that's what it is. It come off a back build bar on another build, so. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much the gear. So the stats that we do have here, let's get some food in us. So we're running about 35, just over 35k magic. Now we're running 1500 magic recovery, but that's going to go up to about 1700 when I change that glyph. So that's back up in the ballpark of where it really should be. So with a lynch proc, I imagine that it would be up around about the 3.5 mark with everything going on. Possibly even nearing the 4k mark. Possibly. Then we have 26... just over 26k health, so we've got a really decent health pool. And then we have 18k stamina, so we've got a really decent stamina pool which we can use for blocking. As I explained earlier, I really need to get a lot better at blocking. I'm working on it, I will get there. Now, our spell damage appears really low, but once we get that proc, it goes up to around 2.2k, 2.3k spell power buff, and also the 500 from there. Then we have 18k spell resistance, 12k physical resistance, and because I'm using a lot of shields to stay alive at the moment, I don't have any crit resistance. Our crit also is around 50% when that's buffed, so we got a decent amount of crit as well. That's the stats and the gear and the skills, guys. So we will just go into some other little points about this build and then we'll wrap it up. So we've been over pretty much everything now. I am an Imperial, so as I said, when this was my first character, I got the Imperial edition. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna play an Imperial. So that's why this guy's Imperial. As I said, I do want to race change him to an Ogonian. But on that side, I do have another MagDK, which I might possibly swap this build over to. And guess what? His name's Charizard. I just think that's the coolest MagDK name. But anyway, so I am a vamp. I'm not fully leveled at the moment, so that is causing me a few issues at the moment. And I am using the maid. For the ones that know me, know I am a fan of max stat over other things. I really love my max stat pools. So that's why it's max magic, and I'm using tri-stat food. Now, if you wanted to be like, you know, say you wanted to run Purge or something like that in a group, you could run Witch Mothers. Even if you're finding you're having trouble with resource management, also Witch Mothers would be really good. If you just want that, you know, more damage, you could just go max magic, max health. So there is a lot of choices there. There's also that new gold food that I think Delty showed in his video. That's also a very good option. Let's just have a look at the CP now, guys. This isn't by far the best setup for CP. This is basically what I just chucked together. So we have 43 into Siphoner, that gives us 10%. And then we have 56 into Warlord, that gives us 20%. And then we have 12% into the Arcanist. Something here I might suggest is putting some points into Sprint, because you do find yourself sprinting a fair bit on this build just because you have no other way really to catch up or whatever. And then I have 18 tenacity, which gives me 4%. I really need to get one more point in there so I can make it 5%. Anyway, and then I have 56 points, which gives us 20% into tumbling. It really makes the cost of dodge roll really, really cheap. And then I just have 1 into reduced cost of block. Now, once I get the hang of blocking a lot more, I'll chuck a lot more points into here. So here I have 43 points, which gives me 10% into Blessed. Then I have 23 points, which gives me 10% into Elfbane. And then Elemental Expert has 43 again, which gives us 10%. And then I have 47 into Spell Erosion, which gives us 3.7, basically 3.8. Spell penetration. Now, our penetration on this build is pretty decent. I think it's around 15-16k. Personally, I don't think you really want to go higher than that because you're just into like diminishing returns area kind of thing after that. Master Arms 37, which gives us 15%. Then we have Thermitage 37, which gives us 15%. I will probably stack this up a little bit more and get a 3 or 4 more % out of this. But now in the red tree, I have Ironclad 33 points, which gives us 13.8%, which is 13%. I really need to get 1 more point into there. And then we have 64 into Hardy, which gives us 13%. And then we have 56 into Elemental Defender, which gives us 12%. And then we have Fixed Skin that gives us 40 points, which gives us 16%. For some reason, I'm not quite sure why I've got so much into Hardy right now, but anyway. And then I have 37 into Bastion just to get those shields up a little bit bigger and larger. So that's it, guys. That's my CP, and that's basically the build. So guys, if you want to see this build in action, I will be streaming. I'm streaming pretty much, will be streaming pretty much as this video goes up. So if you want to check that out, head over to Twitch. Also, there will be a stream on YouTube with the link to my Twitch channel in the description. And if you guys would like to see a gameplay video with this build, let me know. And also, I'm really interested to know what builds you guys are running on your DKs. Are you running something similar to this? Are you running something like Deltia's DK build? Let me know. Let me know what your setups are. And that's how I always learn. And that's how people do learn, is by taking in information. And if you stop doing that, you're gonna stop learning, which is, to be honest, the most boring thing I could ever think of. Before I go, guys, I do want to stress how much fun this build is. It is just so much fun. If it's nothing else, it is fun. It is definitely worth giving it a go and seeing if you like it as much as what I do. I guarantee you won't hate it. It is just severely fun. And come on, who doesn't like to breathe fire and leap through the air like a dragon? Come on, that is just so much fun. So, once again, guys, it was Johnny from JTK Gaming. I'll have some new videos out soon on some other stuff. And I'm planning, well, not planning, I'm actually doing a video with Crown about AP. He's basically the AP king. He knows just about everything there is, and he's done some pretty crazy spreadsheets. It's just taking me a long time to do the video because of how much information is there and how I've got to condense it down into, a reasonable sized video. So that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be based around kind of the best way to get Emperor and the best way to make AP. So that's all I wanted to let you guys know. So don't forget to leave your comments in the description. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you hated the video and hate me, hit that dislike, because why not? You guys do that anyway, so what's the fucking difference? But anyway, guys, I enjoyed making this video and I enjoyed playing this build, and I'll catch yous later.